Hello and welcome to this edition of BizWatch. I'm Ting. As the property industry explores new ways to provide high-profile exposure, the media business is looking at how it can deliver its messages. The media advertising market in China is booming. At stake are billions of yuan in advertising spending, and competing for it are both the traditional and the new media. This week I talked to Jean-Michel Portier, CEO of French media research company TNS Media Intelligence. We looked at how the battle for advertising dollars might resolve. If we look at the media advertising spending in China, we notice that the overall pie is still expanding, but we do notice a clear trend that new media platforms such as the internet and the mobile phone are grabbing shares away from traditional media. What do you think is the reason?
I think the reason is quite simple, and it is the same as in other countries. It's simply advertisers want more targeted audience, and they also want simply to exploit all the potential of new technologies. So it's very simple, and it has always been the history of media industry to have a proliferation of media support.
Right. So could you be more specific? What do you think are the competitive advantage of these new media platforms compared to traditional media such as television, newspaper, magazines?
The main new media that I have in mind are mainly, I would say, the Internet. Yes. Internet is clearly something that will grow in China as in the rest of the world, and in most developed countries, Internet advertising represents approximately 5-6% of the total ad spending. Right. And so there is a growth potential in China. And the benefit for advertiser is that it's very, very targeted, and that people also are more affluent in China, and they are less present at home than they were in the past. So it's very obvious that using internet or using mobile phone as a vehicle for advertising activity is certainly a very good idea. I think there are also other types of advertising medias, like LCD screens, right, that are so visible in so many places in Shanghai, where I am since 2 days, and I have been amazed by the volume.
Do you see this trend continue and intensify in the future?
No doubt. It will intensify. It is a trend, but I would say it's probably not a threat for the traditional media.
Why not?
It's simply because you are very lucky in China in the advertising industry. The trend is that the spending are growing on an annual basis and quite steadily. It's more than 20% per annum. So there is room for everybody. And even if the traditional media will probably suffer a little because new media are going to take share, right, it's not a major threat for them.
In fact, I think each media platform has its own strength when it comes to reaching the end consumer. So how do you think the advertisers can distribute their advertisements among different media platforms in order to reach their target audience more effectively?
I think it's the strategy of each corporation to decide where they and when they want to advertise. But the main important element for their strategy is to decide which target they want really to have. The usage of internet advertising for car manufacturer, for example, is quite massive. Right. And most of the purchase acts have been generated by a visit to a website before the Purchase Act really did happen. Right. So it's more a combination of the various media that can be the most efficient.
Right. In addition, traditional media are also faced with challenges from new technologies. Products like PVR, personal video recorders, have enabled our audience to skip advertising. So would this be a threat to both the media organization and also the advertisers they support, you think?
I doubt it's a very big threat, but in the short term, no doubt. no doubt. And especially if you are listening and viewing TV programs in the US, perhaps sometimes the advertising pressure is going a little too far. It's a question of balance. When advertising is well displayed and is not pushing too hard, I think it's generally very well received and very efficient. Skipping advertising is a challenge for advertisers and for agencies, but it has always been a challenge to do good advertising, and I am very confident that in the future the players in the advertising agencies are going to be smarter and are going to be more creative, more innovative, and will find ways to convey the message and to communicate efficiently.
Does it mean that they have to invest more money into developing a good ad, maybe an interactive ad with the audience?
The question is probably not putting more resources. It's probably to allocate more appropriately the resources. And I am quite convinced that big groups are really taking serious step forward in this respect. And if you look at companies like the Unilever Group, for example, they are making serious choices among their brands in order to concentrate their limited resources, even if they are big groups, but their limited resources on a limited set of brands in order to be as efficient as possible.
Mr. Portilla also expressed his view on the argument that technologies like PVR could enable more targeted advertising by collecting user behavior data. He thinks the associated cost will be too high to realize despite its technical feasibility.